Hi, I'm Thorne Bishop, and welcome to Top Secret Inc. Today we'll be walking through Supergirl Vol.1, issue number 0 by DC Comics. So get comfortable, because it's going to be one hell of a ride. It all starts off with a young Supergirl racing off to respond to a Mayday call from Air Force One, because of course it does. Right? The president's in trouble, and who's naturally going to hear it? Supergirl, who's currently chilling on Paradise Island with Wonder Woman, probably having the most awkward sleepovers in comic book history. I mean, come on. What do they even talk about? Hey, Diana, so, how do you deal with all these mortals being so fragile? Well, Kara, you could probably start by not accidentally vaporizing them with your heat vision. But here's where things get interesting, because we cut to the Batcave where Superman and Batman are literally tracking Supergirl on a computer screen like she's some kind of endangered species they're monitoring for National Geographic. And I have to say, Bruce, this is peak creepy uncle behavior right here. You're watching your friend's cousin on multiple monitors while sitting in the Batcave dressed like a bat. That's not suspicious at all. Now here's the kicker, right? There's also a guy named Noah watching her too. But you might know him as the Calculator. And he's giving all this intel back to Lex Luthor on the phone because apparently Supergirl is the new girl in school and everyone wants to know if she's gonna sit at the popular kids table or if she's gonna burn down the cafeteria. So we switched over to Supergirl herself and she's right underneath Air Force One, and apparently one of the turbines has caught fire. She's holding the entire plane up like it's a grocery bag that's too heavy, but you don't want to make 2 trips. The wing with the turbine breaks off and Supergirl goes to discard it and fly back to keep the plane afloat. Now here's where it gets nuts. Superman is in the background watching from a distance like some kind of super-powered helicopter parent. Kara hasn't noticed him yet, which honestly is probably for the best because imagine you have an older cousin watching you parallel park except for the car's Air Force One and the parking spot is not crashing it into the ground. Supergirl manages to safely land the plane at a local airport and the Calculator relays another message back to Lex, saying that she's getting more skilled with her superpowers. Which is basically saying, hey boss, the new superhero is getting better at superheroing. Should we be worried? And the obvious answer is yes. Lex, you should always be worried when a Kryptonian's involved. Next, Supergirl flies away and Superman decides to follow her at a distance because apparently the Kent family motto is, boundaries are for other people. What starts as Superman trying to be sneaky turns into a chase scene that's almost like a training exercise, except neither of them signed up for it. They both fly past the Justice League moonbase, and here's where it gets absolutely ridiculous. Supergirl leaves Superman in the dust. Superman is now floating in space over the moon in complete astonishment, probably questioning every life choice that led him to this moment, where his teenage cousin just schooled him in front of the Justice League of America moonbase. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Calculator is looking at a live video of Supergirl on one of his massive computer monitors, when suddenly, she stares right into the screen and looks directly at him. She knows she's being watched, and for the briefest moment, Calculator is scared out of his mind. He tells Lex that somehow she's aware of him watching her every move, which is basically the superhero equivalent of she knows we're talking about her behind her back. Back at the Batcave, Batman is talking to Superman on a communicator about how Supergirl managed to ditch him in space, when suddenly Supergirl just appears behind him, saying, "What do you think you're doing?" And let me tell you guys, there's nothing more terrifying than a Kryptonian teenager who's figured out you've been spying on her. They have a mildly heated discussion in the Batcave, and she's accusing Batman of spying on her, which, let's be honest, is exactly what he's doing. She wants to know what's going on between him and Superman, and then she drops this bomb. Do you think you're the only one watching me? There are other people watching me too. And in frustration, she flies out of the Batcave, leaving Batman probably wondering if this is what it feels like to get grounded by someone who could literally throw you into orbit. Supergirl's completely pissed off, so she flies to the top of a skyscraper in Gotham, where she accidentally runs into Batgirl for the first time. She manages to make friends with someone who isn't related to her or obsessively monitoring her every move. They end up busting up a crime scene from Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and I gotta say, Harley's role in this story is pretty insignificant, but she's still absolutely fantastic because it's Harley. At some point in this battle, Poison Ivy plants a big wet kiss on Supergirl, which would normally knock out Superman because Ivy usually has this synthetic kryptonite lipstick she uses, but it does absolutely nothing to Supergirl. Zero, zilch, nada. Poison Ivy is probably standing there like, what the hell is this? This is completely awkward. My signature move didn't even work. Then out of nowhere, Batgirl throws a massive punch at Supergirl right through the window into another building. Now you'd thinking this wouldn't be possible because Batgirl has no superpowers. And you're probably right. Except now we see that Batgirl is transforming into Clayface. So Supergirl just got sucker punched by one of Batman's rogue gallery pretending to be her new friend, which is honestly probably the worst Tuesday ever in DC history. Supergirl is understandably pissed off that she just got bitch slapped by Clayface. So what does she do? She grabs the ground and rips a massive chunk out of it with Clayface standing on top, picks it up, and just chucks it into the Gotham River, with Clayface still attached. It's gonna take Clayface a few months to put himself back together after he finds all his parts, which is honestly a pretty creative way of dealing with this shape-shifting villain. Superman magically appears again next to Supergirl, because of course he does. The man has timing that would make a Swiss watch jealous. They have a quick talk where he mentions how she handled Clayface and the other villains and how proud he was of her, which is sweet and all, but Clark probably should have led with this instead of the whole stalking thing. This issue ends with a scene between Calculator and Lex Luthor talking about Kara and how they need to find out more information about her, because apparently the theme of this entire issue is everyone wants to know what Supergirl's doing next, and they're willing to be super creepy about it.